Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Our next two weather makers. First of all, it feels like spring out here on the patio. Absolutely gorgeous. But Sunday, we're looking at the potential for some spring thunderstorms. I'll walk you through it.
And the Dow drops. Stocks got off to a decent start after a cool consumer index report, then retreated as trade worries hit stocks again. The retaliatory tariffs levied by the European Union. And extending benefits. State lawmakers discuss a bill that reduces worries for families of fallen law enforcement officers. How that bill was inspired by the death of a Raleigh police officer. A lot to tell you about this noon hour. Good afternoon. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Lovingood in for Jeff Hogan. Get ready for one of the warmest afternoons this year so far. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is out on the WRAL weather patio with a look at why we are warming up so quickly. I wish we could take the desk in here and put it outside, Elizabeth. They won't let me.
Oh, I tell you what, I definitely drew the correct straw today. 72 degrees in Wilson, at 73 in Durham, and 69 in Fayetteville. Absolutely beautiful out here on the patio. Just feels fantastic. I keep looking around, in any day now. I mean, typically it's closer to the 1st of April, but, we're almost halfway there. We're going to start to see some of these azaleas that start to bloom here behind us. And I love it. That time of year is so great. There's so many people that come out to spend some time in the gardens. I mean, they're beautiful year round. There's always something blooming, and with weather like this, you may want to think about coming on out here. After school planner for today, our temperature at 2 o'clock, 79, 81 degrees at 3 to 4 o'clock, 75 at 6 o'clock, and 8 o'clock, 70 degrees. I mean, this is your excuse, moms and dads taking your kids out to practice. You can just take your chair and sit outside and enjoy it. Whatever it is you do to be able to get out and enjoy this beautiful afternoon, get out there. It's going to be fantastic. We still have more warm temperatures in our forecast. Tomorrow, 76, 78 Friday, and 81 on Saturday. None of those are records. Our records this time of year are in the mid to upper 80s, but it will still feel wonderful. Now, looking ahead to Sunday, we do have the potential for some severe thunderstorms. I'll walk you through what we could see coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Now to breaking news in Raleigh, where protesters are gathering on Bicentennial Plaza for the so-called Down with Doge rally organized by North Carolina Democrats. WRAL's Julian Grace is live in downtown Raleigh with the message the protesters want to send to Washington. Julian.
Renee, there are a lot of messages out here, but I want to walk you through this. We arrived around about 10 o'clock this morning, and it wasn't a lot of people out here. But then about 20 minutes ago, we start seeing large crowds on this side with signs in hand and large crowds on this side as well. Now, let me tell you what to expect. We are expecting to hear speakers at that podium here within the next 10 minutes or so. We're expected to hear speakers from across the state and also politicians on what they want to share with the public about Doge. We also talked to residents who came. One resident came from Greenville. She says she just wanted to show up and she wanted to make sure her voice is heard. She feels like this is all she can do until the midterm elections. This is what we plan on doing. We are going to talk to Democrats and also Republicans about this rally. And after this rally is over, I'm told some people are expected to go in and talk directly to their legislators and tell them what they want to see in the future and how they feel about the current cuts. For now, reporting. Oh, let's go to some sound. This is a resident that we spoke to a little bit earlier. Here's what she had to say about coming out today.
Today it's the Department of Education. Next week it might be Social Security. It might be Medicare. I'm on Medicare. I'm concerned.
That was Debbie there. She came from Greenville, and she was expressing how concerned she is with the way how things are going in D.C. We'll have more of that later at 12:30 as we talk to more residents who are showing up every minute. For now, reporting live in Raleigh, Julian Grace, WRAL News.
Inflation slowed more than expected in February, but that progress may be short-lived. Analysts project that President Donald Trump's tariffs threaten to increase prices for Americans. Price changes across commonly purchased goods and services was 2.8%, and that's down from the 3% market hit in January. February's numbers came in better than expected. In fact, flat grocery prices for the month and falling gas prices, that Those are the elements that contributed to this. So let's quick look at the stock markets as we have right here this afternoon. You can see the Dow Jones is down 146 different points there. The S&P is up, though, 21 points, and the NASDAQ up 182, according to what I'm seeing here off the camera. But this is just how people are reacting, again, to the inflation report that released today. We'll be watching very closely to see how that works out tomorrow as well as the tariff continues to be in place.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center, word into the newsroom that the Pentagon is cutting all communication in relation to changes for climate change and all diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. As you take a look at some video of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, that's according to a memo sent this week. All talking points will also have to be reviewed to make sure they follow executive orders from President Donald Trump. Now, some officials have said the department's climate programs focused on increasing the force's resiliency and that dropping them could be risky for the military. We'll have more on this coming up in our news starting at 4 right here on WRAL.
Within the hour, a state House committee approved a bill named for a Raleigh police officer who died in the line of duty. Gabriel Torres was killed in the Hedingham shooting in 2022. He was on his way to work. House Bill 137, or the Gabe Torres Act, would make it clear in state law that an officer on their way to or from work is eligible for death benefits if they die in the line of duty. WRAL's Heidi Kirk just stepped out of that committee meeting. Heidi, this isn't the first time state lawmakers have considered a bill like this.
Renee, that's right. Actually, back in 2023, the State House actually passed a similar bill, but it got held up in the Senate. And now they're hoping that here in round 2 that they can make a little bit more headway. Now, go ahead and take a look at your screens. Now, this is the person that bill is inspired by. This is fallen Raleigh police officer Gabriel Torres. He was on his way to work when he went to check out shots fired in his neighborhood and was gunned down. Now, state law doesn't currently offer death benefits to law enforcement officers on their way to or from work. Now, his wife and daughter were able to win a death benefit claim, but only after a 2-year legal battle. Now, this bill, which is deemed the Gabe Torres Act, would make it clear in state law that an officer on their way to and from work are eligible for death benefits if they die in the line of duty.
And before you today to ask you to please let's correct this for all of our public safety officers who put themselves in harm's way every day for us, who are never actually off duty and are always ready to respond when crisis hits, no matter where they are.
Now, of course, there are still many more steps ahead of this bill. Next, it's going to head to the House Committee of Appropriations. We'll continue to follow this and bring you coverage in our later newscasts. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
A not guilty plea in another case we're watching closely. The lawyer for Isaiah Ross tells WRAL that his client entered the not guilty plea yesterday during a hearing in Orange County. Ross is accused of shooting 14-year-old Lyric Woods and 18-year-old Devin Clark while they were running away. Prosecutors say Ross confessed to a friend, and cell phone data links him to the crime. The case is scheduled to go to trial on October 27th.
Police and prosecutors in our state are advocating for victims of domestic violence and child sexual abuse. And they're at the state legislature today to make their voices heard. Yesterday, WRAL reported on the rising number of domestic violence homicides in North Carolina. And today's push is for more funding to get counseling and medical exams for survivors. Authorities hope that it will help them convict more abusers.
In prosecuting child sexual assault cases in particular, those services have proven pivotal in gaining convictions.
In 2024, victim service providers across the state supported more than 76,000 individuals impacted by violence. I'm going to say that again, 76,000.
Today's push for more domestic violence support comes as state lawmakers work on the new state budget, and that could become law in the next few months.
Ukrainian officials say they are open to a 30-day ceasefire backed by Washington, but only if Russia also accepts the terms. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky says as soon as the Russians accept the deal, his country will stop all military offensives in the air, on the front lines, and in the Black Sea. The Kremlin says Russian President Vladimir Putin will not respond to this ceasefire initiative until Russia hears more from the U.S. Trump is expected to speak with Putin soon. Meanwhile, the European Union announced retaliatory tariffs today on $28 billion worth of goods from the U.S. The announcement comes after President Trump raised tariffs on global steel and aluminum imports to 25% earlier today. The EU says the levies on things like boats, motorcycles, and alcohol will kick in on April 1st.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center, WRAL confirming within the last hour that some Fort Bragg troops could be deployed to the southern border. We've also confirmed that the 20th Engineering Brigade, as we take a look at some video from troops returning from a recent deployment, the 20th Engineering Brigade have been identified for potential deployment, including approximately 100 soldiers from Fort Bragg. Now, there's currently no specific timeline for this deployment, but this makes these forces and their engineering capabilities available to support the ongoing mission to bolster security at the southern border. Again, we're going to have more on this story coming up in our news starting at 4.
Big update. Thank you, Ken. Tonight, Governor Josh Stein will deliver his first State of the State address, and he plans to highlight the efforts to help Western North Carolina's recovery from Helene. Victims of the storm are expected to be in attendance, and Stein is also expected to highlight educators from across the state. He's calling on the Republican-controlled legislature to fund his priorities around education, workforce development, families, and children. His address starts at 7, and House Speaker Destin Hall will give the GOP response, and we'll stream both speeches live on WRAL.com. Tokyo stabbing death. The reason police say a man gave them for killing an influencer while she was live streaming online.
And take it back home. How soon it will be before 2 NASA astronauts can finally come home months after they were supposed to.
And up the drain again. How a California town's leadership is responding to a viral video of a man resurfacing from a storm drain.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A new CNN poll suggests Americans are not happy with the economy under President Trump's leadership. According to the poll, the president's overall job approval rating is at 45%, with 54% disapproving. The markets reflect investors are worried about new trade policies, and 56% of respondents disapprove of how the economy is being handled. Americans are divided over the federal budget, health care policy, and foreign affairs. And this is all in contrast to a Gallup poll last month showing an increase in satisfaction in the state of the nation. Republicans mostly drove that increase. The EPA is cutting all of its environmental justice offices. Those offices work to protect disadvantaged communities from being disproportionately impacted by contaminants. The EPA placed more than 160 environmental justice employees on paid leave early last month, and now they will be fired in accordance with President Donald Trump's executive order targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion.
The State Department of Environmental Quality asked Chemours to expand well testing for PFAS contamination, specifically in a private drinking water well near the Fayetteville Works plant. This includes portions of Cumberland, Sampson, Hoke, and Harnett counties. This will speed up the sampling process for sites that get primary drinking water for private wells. It will also provide access to clean water to homeowners around the plant. To learn more about the impact of PFAS pollution in North Carolina, you can watch our documentary about it, Forever Chemicals, North Carolina's Toxic Tap Water. You'll find it on WRAL.com under the documentary tab.
A man is alive after a shooting at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Police say the shooting was sparked from a fight inside a terminal around 1 o'clock this morning. The shooting happened outside the airport. The man was shot twice in the lower part of his body, and police are questioning another man in this case. The airport was operating normally by about 5:15 this morning local time. Police in Tokyo say a man admits he stabbed a woman to death today while she was live streaming. A 22-year-old woman was killed in an area popular with university students, and a witness says the attacker stayed at the scene and even raised his hand when police asked who did it. Investigators say the man claims he loaned the woman the equivalent of more than $13,000, and she would not repay him. The man allegedly told police he located her through her live stream.
NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams are one step closer to coming home after their 10-day mission to space turned into a 9-month stay. If all goes well, tonight, NASA and SpaceX will launch a rocket to the International Space Station, which will bring the duo back to Earth 2 days later. Here's NBC's Tom Costello.
Arriving in Florida, NASA SpaceX Crew 10 preparing to launch to the space station on a 6-month rotation.
We've been working a long time to be ready for launch, and we are very, very excited to be here.
A mission that will also allow Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore to come home 9 months after leaving Earth. It was last June 5th when Sonny and Butch launched on a brand new Boeing Starliner spaceship for a 10-day mission. But Starliner soon developed helium leaks and engine thruster problems. Worried that Starliner wasn't safe, NASA ordered Wilmore and Williams to stay on the station. Starliner came home empty, but only after a SpaceX Crew 9 ship arrived on station with just 2 crew members. Williams and Wilmore then joined Crew 9 for a 6-month stay on station. Sonny soon took over as space station commander, and they both carried out a critical 5.5-hour spacewalk to repair a radio communications unit. That spacewalk, Williams' 9th overall, puts her in the record books for the most time spent in the vacuum of space by a woman. Now, 9 months later, they still insist they're not angry and they don't feel NASA abandoned them.
We came up prepared to stay long, even though we planned to stay short. That's what we do in human spaceflight.
Only 5 NASA astronauts have ever spent more consecutive days in orbit than Sonny and Butch. The hardest part, says Sonny, is the impact on their families back on Earth.
It's been a roller coaster for them, probably a little bit more so than for us, to not know exactly when we're coming back.
We are just feel fortunate and thankful, though, that we have seats. And we'll be coming home, riding the plasma, splashing down in the ocean.
Now, with Crew 10 preparing to launch, Sonny and Butch are preparing to come home.
Honestly, I'm kind of most looking forward to breaking bread with those guys, talking to them, giving them big hugs.
Every time we've seen interviews with Butch and Sonny or pictures of Butch and Sonny, they're smiling, they put on a happy face, they say they are not angry. It's impressive. It's impressive to imagine you're going up for 10 days and you stay there for months.
If we weren't on the record, I'd go, hey, so really, how y'all doing? Because that would be just terrifying.
No.
All right, so let's go outside right now to meteorologist Elizabeth Garter, safely here on Earth. And we have a beautiful day today, tomorrow, but the weekend, a bit of a rocky end of it.
Yeah, and you know, if I could stay out here with this weather for the next several months, I would love it. You know, today is it's that Goldilocks period. It's not humid. The temperature is perfect. There's no pollen yet, and there are no mosquitoes. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. So feeling like May, except for the fact that by May, you know, we've had pollen and mosquitoes and all that. So just feeling fantastic. We have the lunar eclipse to look forward to. It's on Friday morning, along with the full moon, of course. And then as Chris said, we do have that severe weather potential, and that is for the day that we get back to, of course, as we get into the weekend. So we're looking at that, of course, as well as we get into the weekend. All right. So as we move forward, give me 1 second to kind of get this back up. And oh, you know what? Well, I hate to do this to you guys, but I'm going to have to send it back to you in the studio. We'll be back down here shortly.
That's okay, Elizabeth. Tech issues happen sometimes. She'll get back to us in a little bit there, but it's at least nice seeing her outside. I'm a little jealous we can't be out there.
Weather, I know. We just have the live look at Dorothea Dix Park, and, you know, the temperatures are feeling very nice, and they will through Friday, and then we're kind of watching the potential for severe weather on Sunday. We're still looking ahead to that.
Yep.
Banning lab-grown meats. Today on WRAL News at 4, the new bill that could get rid of the process and the impact it could have on a local company.
Plus, another egg price hike. At WRAL News at 5, Five on Your Side explains the price hike and shares how you can get the best deal possible on your next dozen. Simplicity for seniors. A ride-sharing app wants to reinforce brand loyalty with a new app. How Lyft Silver could take the guesswork out of the service.
Bedtime reminder, the new tool introduced by TikTok to help encourage healthy screen time habits.
Lyft is rolling out a new user-friendly app for seniors. It's called Lyft Silver. The simplified version of this app features easy access to customer support there, and it also provides the ability to share trip details with a trusted contact. Users who register for the service will receive an alert once it's available in their area. Meanwhile, TikTok is introducing a new feature too. This is to help users stop scrolling at night. The new wind down feature will be implemented for anyone under 16 years old under the app after 10 p.m. TikTok says a user's feed will transition to calming music designed to help them relax and sleep. That's actually kind of interesting. TikTok says that it will test meditation exercises with the new feature too.
U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is reinforcing a Trump administration priority at the Department of Justice, banning paper straws. Now, in a message to the DOJ workforce, Bondi says the department must comply with President Trump's executive order banning the purchase of paper straws for federal buildings. She described them as non-functional, expensive, and potentially hazardous.
Okay. Changes that are happy in that regard there. I think one of the things we've been kind of talking about today, weather-wise, obviously, it's warm, right? Like last week was very different, but today it's very nice seeing all the different sunshine. Even Dix Park's behind you looking great. I saw someone just basically laying down and having like the nap of their life out there.
Yeah, I would nap out there, just bask in the sunshine. We don't get a whole lot of 80 degrees in March, but it's going to feel like that for sure. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner back in the studio with us and out of the sunshine to let us know what we can expect for the rest of the week.
Yeah, it's going to be nice for the next couple of days. We're looking forward to that lunar eclipse, as I mentioned, and then that severe weather threat, of course, happens on Sunday, so we'll be having to deal with that. It's beautiful outside. Boy, I tell you what, look at all those folks out there on the golf course at Pinehurst Resort and Country Club. I mean, outside is the place to be today, that is for sure. 73 degrees right now, and as I said outside before, I mean, just in that Goldilocks period. It's not humid, there's no pollen yet. We'll climb to 81 degrees this afternoon. 71 in Southern Pines and Goldsboro, 71 in South Hill, and 73 degrees in Durham. Right down Apex, 70, 75 in Garner, 73 in Rollsville. So temperatures are in the low to mid 70s right now, and we'll be in the low to mid 80s this afternoon. Really, really warm. We'll be a little bit cooler tomorrow and Friday with mid to upper 70s. Still feeling great. A bit more cloud cover Thursday into Friday. And then Saturday looks nice and warm, that 81, but we'll also have the potential for a few showers. And we're going to talk more about that in just a little bit. A little breezy this afternoon, 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts. And we do have high brush fire danger. Again, we've seen that a good bit lately, but we still have low humidity and just a real lack of rain. We're just really in need of rain. So any of the wind that starts to pick up could create some fires that move pretty quickly. Lunar eclipse on Friday morning starts at around 1 a.m., so not a very convenient time unless you're a super early riser like we are. The entire moon appears red by 2:26 and it's over by 4:47, but it looks pretty good cloud-wise. We'll take a look at Friday morning. About the time that the eclipse begins, there are some clouds up near the Virginia line, but most of it should be pretty clear for that on Friday morning. Saturday, late in the afternoon, there could be a few isolated showers, but it's a warm day. And then Sunday, we have a good chance of severe storms. And we're going to talk more about the timeline for that. Some of that could linger into the first part of St. Patrick's Day, but in the afternoon, it looks like it'll dry out pretty well.
Got to push through Sunday first. Thanks, Elizabeth. Consumer price cool down. For the first time in 4 months, prices for goods and services dipped. What economists attribute to today's good news.
Here's a look at the winning North Carolina Education Lottery numbers. Don't go away.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news just a short time ago, investigators in Butner revealed how a 69-year-old woman died. Her son is accused of killing her inside her home. Officers responded to a home on West B Street just before 1 yesterday morning. And they found 69-year-old Wanda Washington dead. Her son, Charles Washington, is charged with her murder. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is live in Granville County with new information about this case. Chelsea.
Yeah, Renee, so I've been emailing back and forth with Chief Champion here in Butner, and he just told me that the murder weapon used in this case here at this house on West B Street was a hammer. Also, we should mention this is the first murder that Butner Public Safety has investigated since 2020. 14. Neighbors that we've talked to say they woke up to crime scene tape, flashing lights, and then, of course, a coroner van pulling up. Let's show you the suspect here. This is 38-year-old Charles Washington, charged with his mother's death. Neighbors tell me he lived at the home here with his mother. He's been charged with first-degree murder and being held under no bond. Washington was declared dead at the scene. Now, a neighbor I just spoke to said police had been to the home a few times in the recent months. And the neighbor also said that Wanda Washington was a retired nurse and just friendly all around.
She had like that grandparent type soul, you know what I mean? Very welcoming.
And of course, I'm working to learn a little bit more information about what led up to this, how long perhaps the victim was in the house, who called 911. We'll hope to bring you that information, get those questions answered later today. Live in Granville County, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
Just a chilling update. Breaking right now in Raleigh, protesters are gathering on Bicentennial Plaza for a so-called Down with Doge rally organized by North Carolina Democrats. Let's bring in WRAL's Julian Grace. He's live in downtown Raleigh with a message that they're sending to Washington. Julian, is it pretty active still out there?
Chris, is very active. I would say in the last 15 minutes, more people showed up. And right now they're listening to speaker after speaker here at the podium. And we've talked to a number of people who have showed up, and some say they're simply frustrated by what they see happening in Washington, D.C. Let me run you through what will happen today. From 12 to 2, speaker after speaker is expected to come up at the podium and give a plan for North Carolina and share with residents what they can do to ensure their voices are being heard. Then after the rally, we're told that some individuals will go inside and talk to some of their state lawmakers to see what they can do to convince them about the policies that they believe are wrong. So this is what else is happening. We talked to one resident who's very frustrated and came from Greenville today. She shared why she wanted to make sure her voice was heard today.
I'm concerned about children not being covered under Medicaid if that gets canceled, children not being fed, the Department of Education being dismantled.
Now, that woman right there, her name was Debbie. She came all the way from Greenville. She says she wanted to ensure that she was here today. Let me show you one more look at the crowd on this side. You can see people are still trickling in. But if you come back over this way, you can see there's still more room for other people to show up. We're going to reach out to some Republicans and see what they have to say about this rally today. We'll have more for you later tonight at 4 and also 6 o'clock. For now, reporting live in Raleigh, Julian Grace, WRAL News.
The Consumer Price Index released some encouraging news. This as 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports go into effect today. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey breaks down the numbers.
That new report released today shows that inflation went up a little bit less than what economists expected. It now sits at 2.8%. So now we have a little bit more perspective on the prices you pay here at the grocery store. These new numbers come as a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports starts today. That means auto prices could go up. Prices could also rise for items like appliances, medical devices, and beverage cans. NC State economist Andrew Greenland says we likely won't see tariffs' full impact on inflation until later. We're expecting small increases in prices for now, but bigger increases could come later.
Insofar as they're impacting fruits and vegetables coming out of Mexico, for example, we may see increases in construction costs, as steel, aluminum, and lumber, things coming out of Canada that have had tariffs placed on them.
Looking ahead to how the Fed could respond to this report, Greenland says they're in a complicated position right now as we could be headed for a recession. He says they likely will not lower interest rates. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Cary.
A new state bill could make it illegal to fly flags supporting certain groups on public buildings. That includes Black Lives Matter or a Thin Blue Line. The bill is called the Depoliticize Government Property Act. It would only allow for official flags to be flown on public property, and that includes the American flag, the North Carolina state flag, or flags for schools or military. Flags supporting certain holidays and observances, such as Pride or Juneteenth, would not be allowed. Those found in violation could face disciplinary action, include being fired. The bill still needs to win approval at other committees before heading to a vote.
A Raleigh man pleaded guilty to importing 2,500 counterfeit airbags. Mateen Alinagian is accused of doing this through Raleigh between May 2022 and April of last year. They all came from the United Kingdom for Honda, Chevy, GM, and Toyota vehicles. Alinagian is charged with selling these airbags on Facebook Marketplace. School leaders in Johnston County plan to discuss a change to their harassment and their bullying policy tomorrow. The change is to remove the terms sexual orientation and gender identity. Now, advocates who spoke at last night's board meeting say the changes could be dangerous for some children and staff. The board chair says they postponed a decision last night so that the district could make sure what they're doing is correct.
Not your ordinary backpack. How it is helping those unsheltered stay connected during tough times.
And tornado terror. How a woman rode out the storm in a van and lived to tell about it. Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories. For coverage you will find only on WRAL, you can visit WRAL.com and search the word only. Our teacher of the week is known for mixing in a little humor with her lesson plans.
Ken Smith presented this week's award to a teacher who isn't allowing her health challenges to keep her out of the classroom.
Who can tell me what is something that happened in this chapter?
Dawn McPherson is the epitome of perseverance.
What did Wendy do in this chapter?
Not even a recent diagnosis of Parkinson's is keeping her away from her third grade students at Olive Chapel Elementary School in Wake County.
What keeps you coming back?
The kids. I love them. They're good. They're really good. What do you think it could be?
Interestingly enough, when she started college, McPherson and her family were thinking about opening a child development center in Georgia until her first student teaching assignment more than 30 years ago. Then and there, she was hooked.
I said, Mom and Dad, I don't want to do that anymore. Sell the property that you bought, whatever. I have to teach. I like the way you guys are thinking about the flamingos. I don't know if I have a captive audience to do my comedy routine to every day, or it's just kids, they just to me are so good and they're still so innocent. And I just love seeing that spark.
That spark is the connection she experiences every day that keeps her mind off her own health challenges and focused on her students.
They know that I have it, and they know that I go see a brain doctor every so often, and my medicine helps me to walk. So, and they're just as sweet as they can be.
Miss McPherson, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ken Smith, WRAL News.
If you'd like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
Withstanding the wind, how a woman's van was all that stood between her and disaster.
Plus, viral video, images of a man climbing out of a storm drain incites change. How city leaders are working to put an end to this dangerous practice.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center, Amazon announcing a new facility in Wilmington. It's pretty similar to the one you're about to see. This is the one that's in Fayetteville. The new facility will create about 1,000 full and part-time jobs. This will be its first robotics fulfillment center in Wilmington. Amazon says this investment will help improve delivery speeds for customers and, of course, boost the local economy. The new facility will be approximately 650,000 square feet and is expected to come online sometime next year, just in time for the holidays.
And they won't be too far from the beach. A viral video showing a man emerging from a storm drain is raising concerns and prompting change. A California woman recorded the video on February 28th and uploaded it to social media. It caught the attention of more than 700,000 people, including a Stockton city official who immediately sent a crew out to inspect the drain. Crews cleared out the drain and said it didn't appear that anyone had been living there long term, but it is unhealthy and unsafe.
That's a serious public safety and health concern.
So our infrastructure is not made for human occupancy. And, that's just putting someone in jeopardy of toxic chemicals, needles, rocks, and even potential drowning.
Advocates say a new navigation center is expected to open in May, with a housing project on track to be completed in June. Organizers hope the services will provide a safer place for people to seek shelter.
Now, coincidentally, some unsheltered people in California are staying connected to services thanks to a sustainable backpack. It's called the Makeshift Traveler. Each solar-powered backpack is equipped with a phone charger, sleeping bag, adapter, and more. The Home More Project donated 35 backpacks to Doctors Without Walls to find members of the community who would benefit most. Now, when it's not sunny outside the backpack, it can also be charged for plugging into an outlet. Pretty versatile. A report from the University of Hamburg predicts that by 2050, the Arctic will not have ice during the summer season. Scientists say parts of the Arctic were 36 degrees Fahrenheit higher than normal. Sea ice levels have also fallen to record lows for the past 3 months. Something to think about.
Yeah. Very concerning there. Meanwhile, we're happy with our sunshine and our 70 degrees heading toward 80 degrees.
Yeah, things definitely feeling comfortable outside. Elizabeth Gardner here to get you started on, a good afternoon for us.
Yeah, beautiful afternoon out there. We'll take a look at several of these cameras, and there's not a cloud in the sky. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill, all looking so beautiful this afternoon. Chapel Hill's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. We do look forward, or I should say we look ahead to Sunday, where we could have the potential for some severe storms. We do have a severe threat on Sunday. Heavy rain is likely, and it's likely to be very windy with this system too, not just during the thunderstorms, but even before and after it. Very similar to what we saw last Wednesday. If you remember that, it was windy before and windy after. We had a wind advisory along with that severe weather threat, and this system is looking somewhat like that. Look ahead. This is, of course, Friday at 3 p.m. Look at how strong that wind flow is. You can see those white lines really moving fast up toward the warm front. So lots and lots of warmth that really rolls in for us late Friday into Saturday. Of course, along the Gulf Coast, we have this low and front pushing up a lot of that moisture, and it pushes across our area during the afternoon on Sunday. Now, that timeline could change a little bit, so keep checking back. And of course, we'll also be talking about our severe weather threat. Now, the Storm Prediction Center that issues our severe threats at a level 1 through 5 does that for 3 days out. So we're not 3 days out for Sunday, but give it another 2 days, and then we'll have that threat. So by Friday, we'll know what the Storm Prediction Center is looking at in terms of our threat. At this point, just sort of taking a wild guess, I would guess it's probably going to be a level 2, but things could change between now and then. On Saturday, that threat extends all the way through the Piedmont, and then on Sunday, it extends for almost the entire state, including our viewing area, but Saturday's threat is just to our west. So here's a look at what's happening right now. That high pressure system is pushing the warmth in, and we'll continue to see the warm air ahead of this front until it arrives here. It should pull up a lot of moisture from the Gulf, so we're looking at anywhere from an inch to maybe an inch and a half of much needed rain across our area. It will, of course, potentially affect your outdoor plans. For Saturday, we have the chance of a few isolated showers. I put the yellow light on for Saturday. Just keep checking back. It may be fairly late in the day, so maybe parts of Saturday will be salvageable. And Sunday morning might be okay, but with a severe weather threat, you really want to be extra cautious and potentially hold off any outdoor plans for Sunday. That rain may linger into Monday morning. You could see a few scattered showers possible for Monday. Monday's going to be cooler. It may dry out during the afternoon, but we're looking at a high of 66 on Monday for St. Patrick's Day, and then 69 degrees on Tuesday.
Elizabeth, thanks. A ride to remember. A woman could not beat the storm, so she rode it out in her vehicle. The action she took that may have helped keep her safe.
Here we have a look at your winning Mega Millions numbers. Here you go.
We are seeing beautiful conditions all across the state. Let's take you to the coast. A live look at Carolina Beach. They are sitting pretty at 64 degrees. Their high will only be 68 degrees today. Meanwhile, our high, we could hit 81. You're watching WRAL News, available on Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today. Right now, Democrats are protesting Doge at Bicentennial Plaza in downtown Raleigh. They're calling the event Down with Doge. This protest started at noon and it's set to go until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Several people held signs criticizing Elon Musk and President Donald Trump.
Within the hour, a state House committee approved a bill named for a Raleigh police officer who died in the line of duty. Gabriel Torres was killed in the Raleigh mass shooting in 2022 while headed to work. State law does not currently offer death benefits to law enforcement officers on their way to or from work. This bill will now head to the House Committee on Appropriations.
Tonight, Governor Josh Stein will deliver his first State of the State address. He plans to highlight his efforts to help Western North Carolina's recovery from Helene. Stein is also expected to highlight educators from across the state. His address starts at 7, and House Speaker Destin Hall will give the GOP response. We'll stream both speeches live on WRAL.com.
Today, UNC takes the court in the ACC men's basketball tournament. The 5-seed Tar Heels will play the 12-seed Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish advanced with a 1-point win yesterday over Pitt. Tip-off for today's game is scheduled for 2:30. The top seed Duke will play their first game tomorrow. They'll play the winner of today's game between Georgia Tech and Virginia. The winner of the UNC Notre Dame game will play 4-seed Wake Forest tomorrow.
A Florida woman says she was terrified being caught inside her work van during a tornado. She was inside the van as the tornado hit near Orlando on Monday. She says she took cover inside the vehicle by moving into the passenger side and then hunkering down as the tornado shook the van from side to side. And when it finally passed, she said she became so emotional.
I started to cry before I got out because what you see in the video doesn't really explain what I felt and what I saw.
The National Weather Service confirmed the tornado was an EF2 with winds of up to 120 miles an hour. Oof.
You can't go wrong with our pets of the day from Cat Angels NC. Ronnie and her sister Roxy are two of the sweetest girls on earth. They love people, get along well with other cats, and they just want to be near you and purr and keep you company. They are 1-year-old, spayed, microchipped, fully up to date on vaccinations. If you are interested in Ronnie and Roxy, just fill out an application on the Cat Angels website so that you can meet them in person.
Cute cats. Banning lab-grown meat. Today on WRAL News at 4, the new bill that could get rid of the process and the effect it could have on a local company.
Time is running out for Americans to receive unclaimed refunds. The IRS says about $1 billion have yet to be claimed from the 2021 season. Those refunds belong to people who did not file their 1040 federal income tax return in 2022, and they are set to expire on April 15th. The average unclaimed tax refund is $781. Get your tax questions answered for free with Tax Pros on Call. WRAL's 5 on your side and the North Carolina Society of Enrolled Agents are teaming up to help you with your taxes. It's on Tuesday from 4 until 7 p.m. Federally licensed tax professionals will take your calls and answer your questions for free. So get your question ready for Tax Pros on Call happening on Tuesday.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, and your next local news update is in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Go out and enjoy this beautiful day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and